Okay, so we are back with lecture number 2.4 and here is the content. Okay, so in this lecture we'll study about advanced objects, that is getters and setters, context, prototypes and classes. Okay, so getters and setters, okay, derived properties. Basically, why use them? Okay, getters and setters let you define special properties on object that look like normal variables but actually run code when you get or set them. This is useful for calculating a value on the fly and validating or transforming data when setting a value. Okay, so for example, calculating the value on the fly, that means full name from first and last name. So you have a section that is asking your first name, and then there's a section that is asking your last name. You can just derive the full name by adding those two strings, right? So we have defined an object with first as Albert, first key as Albert, then that is zeroth key as Albert, then the first index key last as Pinto. After that, we have a function and another function inside the object. So what get does, get full is a function. What it does is returns this dot first, that is the value inside the first index, the key in first, not index first, zeroth index first is a key, separates it with the space, the the space, and then also adds the last, that is 0 1, the first index which has the name last and the value Pinto. So this is get function. What will the set function do? Full, and then there's name inside it. Full is the function, and then there's a value input name inside it. What it'll do is take first and last using this dot first and this dot last, and then split it using the space between them, which we set right here. All right, so when we print it, when we print user dot full, it will give us Albert Pinto. Okay, and then for user dot full, if we see, when we initially pass user dot full, we get Albert Pinto because this function is getting passed, get function is getting passed. But when we do user dot full and enter a value, then set function is getting passed because there's a entry inside that function. So if after that we print the user first and user last, it won't be Albert Pinto, it would be John who no, not that, Doe, John Doe. Okay, so user dot full runs the getter, and user dot full equals to something, equals to a blank, runs the setter. All right, is there some way to bring this up? Let me try if there is. If there is a way to bring this and up in its entirety, right? Perfect. Because there has to be some order, right? You cannot have a bloody mesh here. So function context. All right. How much do we have here? Okay, 5 topics. Okay. Function context: call, apply, and bind. Call, apply. What happened? What happened? Limuda happened. Okay. We have call, then we have apply, and then bind. Why are they useful? So sometimes you want to run a function with a specific this value, right? The object context. The Java gives you 3 methods for this. So inside the object we have 3 methods. One is call, then it's apply, and then there's bind. So in call, it runs a function with a given this argument. Okay, with a given this argument. So basically we have an object with key a having value 5. We have function add defined here outside the object, and add dot call, basically add dot call object 3 comma 4, object comma 3 comma 4. So basically what it will do is it will take one object right from here and then put the value right here. After that it will take the other value, that is 3 and 4, and put it right here. Alright, so since this dot a, which is defined in the function, which should in theory fetch a from here, which it does, and puts it here, gives us the answer 12. Alright, okay, is there a way? Where is, let me check. Okay, so there is no way to do that. I'll check it later on. Okay, let me check if the stream is going on perfectly or not. It's going on. Okay, so then we have apply like call, but arguments are passed as an array. So we have add dot apply, similar function, same function. Okay, same function. Let me copy paste it here. All right, so apply, what it does is just keeps them and passes them as an array, while here they are passed as an individual element. And what bind does, what the next thing the bind does is it creates a new function with a fixed this and optionally gets argument. So basically what it will do is add to object is already another thing. Let me add one more. Done. So after this, let add to object equals to add dot bind object dot to, that is x equals 2 is fixed. All right, so the value of x is fixed. Then we can put the value 3, which will go inside here, that is y. Let me just block it. Okay, it will go inside y, and since x was predefined, y was just defined, and a is called, all of them combined gives the value 10. All right. Prototypes and inheritance. How does inheritance work in JavaScript? JavaScript uses prototypes for inheritance. Every object can have a prototype object, and it inherits properties and methods from its prototype. Prototype. Example. So we have a and a function which eventually constitutes a constant x, which is after all our object. Similarly, y is an object, and y.inc, what it does is y.inc, what it does is inherits this function from x. All right, because it is defined underscore underscore proto underscore underscore, what it does is gives the the value inside the x to y. So basically y has access to the insides of x. All right, and once we do y dot include whatever this is inc, basically it just adds. All right, y inherits a and inc from x, just like I told you. Okay, Okay. Classes. Okay, modern syntax for prototype. Why use classes? Classes make it easier to create objects that share behavior. That is, share functions which are called methods here, and data which is called properties here. Just like other languages, as in Python, Java, etc. So we have a class animal with constructor this name. Am I in the right path? Okay, yes. It's just the same stuff. Okay, it is just the same stuff. And then we are assigning it a name. Then we have another function describe. What it does is it prints the name because of this dollar sign here, and then also prints this much as a string, and then another print due to this dollar sign inherited. Where is the sound? Is there no sound? I guess no, but it is called here. It is called here. Okay, in the extension, since dog extends animal, basically super name, we are giving it name, and the sound is woof. Constant spike equals new dog spike. That basically the name of the dog is set to spike, and once it is printed, that is spike dot describe. So the describe function would be called from right here. The name of the dog, that is Spike, would be put here. Then the string makes a sound will be printed, and the sound, what's the sound it makes? That is woof will be printed. Is it so? Yes. Spike makes a sound woof. Animal is a base class. Dog extends animal and add its own sound. All right. That's all. Let's go to 2.4 and solve the activity questions. Which of the following shows the correct output if the program written below is executed? So we have a object with a1 b2 c being a function, and b proto a. So basically it is taking values, taking the function, taking inheritance from a. So the contents inside the a is accessible to b. Okay, and also it is also assigning key d to the value 3. So once we print this and try to find out the length of b, the length of b would be 1, 2, 3, which are inherited due to proto, and 4, d, which b in itself describes. So basically the length would be 4, and the word b dot c would be hello. All right, hello. Which of the following shows the correct output if the program written below is executed? If this is executed, we are defining a name. Then there's a function that is output, which will return the name that is described in the previous line. And set would set the name, basically put the name inside. All right. And after that, if we make a new object a, that is new class a, and input abhi, so the name abhi is inputted. And when we try to output, what's dot output, right? So when we try to get the output, we'll get abhi. What's error? No error. Okay, we have two arrays, a and b. Okay, so the length of x is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and then 7, 8, 9. So total 9 characters added. Done. What will be the output of the following program? X and x dot sort. It has to be sorted, and once we sort it, it will go from the least to the most, that is negative to the positive. 9 minus 9 minus 7. Okay, this one is correct. It will go from the most negative to the most positive. This one is taught in lecture 2.3. I taught it there. Oh, come on, don't do this. Abhi 9 most negative to the most positive. If you do b minus a, then it will go to the from most positive to the least positive. All right, let's check the answers. How many of it are correct? Okay, there's one mistake that I did. Where is the mistake? Okay, undefined and hello. So what's the mistake that I did? B dot length. How is it undefined? Okay, how is it undefined? Let me check. Okay, it's undefined because proto does not add. It is not an extension. All right, this is not extending. Proto will give access and not add this a object inside b. That was my mistake. Okay, done. Then is it correct? Okay, now it's correct. Okay, guys, for the live stream, guys, you guys wait here. For guys who are seeing this in video, sayonara. Let's meet on the next video.